Hi guys, we're back for another monthly newsletter. This newsletter is going to be dedicated all to cutting inset letters. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you 4 different sizes of inset letters. You're not limited to that, but it shows you the example of how the cutter is changed from one inset letter to the next. So we're going to cut a 1 inch, 1.5 inch, a 2 inch, and a 3 inch. And show you all the aspects of the width and the depth of cut, because we're getting a lot of questions on how you cut inset letters and a little bit of confusion there. So what we're going to do is we'll shut down the camera now. When we come back, the first thing we'll do is show you the router bit that we're using, and then we'll move on from there and get into the cutting aspect of it. So we'll be back with you in just a sec. Okay guys, here we have the router bit that we highly recommend for cutting inset letters. This is a 60-degree V-groove, and it's the 3-fluted one. This is what you'll see on our website and on many of our videos. So this is the router bit definitely that we recommend. Works really, really well. Probably the best router bit I've ever used for inset letters. So we'll go ahead and shut it off and we'll get into the cutting. Okay guys, we're back. So what we have here is 4 different size letters. We've got the 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch, and 3 inch. Now you may not have 3 inch layout letters, but when I cut this, I want you guys to see what it's like cutting a bigger letter. And the same rule that applies here will apply to a 4 inch, 5 inch, 6 inch, 10 inch if you're cutting some really big signs. So all of the rules will apply to these letters. This is all you really need to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing this board around and cut this little 1 inch letter, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, here we go. I gotta wait for that router to stop making noise. So when I cut this, you guys, you saw me, here, let me get this router out of the way. You saw I literally just came down this side, and then I came down this side. So it was all done in one stroke, both sides of the letter. Now what I'm gonna do is move on to this 1.5 inch letter, and we may have to do 2 strokes on this side, but we'll just kind of see depending on how wide a stroke that our router bit cuts. So let's cut that next one. I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Okay. Now you'll notice I went clear over to this edge of this inset letter and I made a stroke, but there's still a little bit here. So now I'm going to move over to this side of the letter, to the left side, and I'm going to cut the rest of that, and then I'll cut this. So you can see on this letter that it leaves a little ridge down in there, but that doesn't really make any difference at all because that will all be black anyway. So don't even sweat that. If that little ridge is down in there, don't sweat that at all. That's going to not be a problem because it's all going to be black. So let me cut this next one. Again, pretty much the same rule, guys. I came down this side. I think I did go down one more time, but one stroke over here would have been fine. But again, you just take out whatever you need to take out. This left that little ridge in there. Now I can leave it that way, or I literally can move that down and make a little texture down in there. And that's what I'll do on this one, since there'll be a big swap in there of leftover material. I'll just take it out. So now we'll move on to this 3-inch. So this is the 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch. Now we're going to do a 3-inch. Okay guys, that's it. So there's the 3-inch. Let me switch this around so you can see it. So there's the 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and now on the 1.5 inch, 2 inch, and 3 inch, you can see that I had to come over and I had to make another stroke there. So it could be that if you're doing even a wider letter, you'll have a lot more material. But the leftover material in there, you can see what I did. That's pretty much just like the background on our outset letters. So that's pretty much all there is. It is there. Now I'm going to get back and we're going to shut the camera off. I'm going to come back and tell you a little bit about router depth. Okay guys, now you've seen how we cut inset letters. Now one thing I want to add is the depth of cut. Now we get this all the time. How deep do I cut? How deep do I cut? It's different depending on what router bit you're using. If you're using a 1/4 inch, you're cutting a profile letter. You're going to go deeper on a bigger outset letter than you would if you're cutting a 1 inch outset letter. 1 inch outset letter, you're going to cut as wide as you need to in order to make it look right. So if you're cutting a full 1/4 inch deep on a 1 inch outset letter, you're probably cutting way too deep. You're probably going to need to cut somewhere around 3/16. But again, that will change depending on how many times you sharpen your cutter. The more you sharpen your cutters, the wider that they're going to get. So on your profile cutter, if you're cutting outset letters, try a 1/4 inch. But if you're cutting small outset letters like 1 inch, then you're going to be cutting way too wide. So then back it off. You go more by the width than you do the depth. All of the cutters that we use, we use them because they cut nice and deep for as wide as we need them to cut. So don't be so stuck on your depth. Look more at the width of your cut. So on inset letters, basically if you've got a standard the cutter we just used, you're going to be somewhere around 3/16 on a 1 inch inset letter. But again, that could adjust up or down. As you go a bigger letter, you're going to go a little bit deeper because you want your cut to be wider. So I hope this answers some questions for you. I've got a fly buzzing around my face, so I apologize for the swatting. Anyway, write us any email or give us a call if you have any questions. We'd be happy to answer any questions for you, and we'll see you next time.